everyone! Before we get going, I just want to say that this may be the last video for a little while. I've got a few big life events coming up, so videos may be more sporadic from here on out.
So, it's over.
Before then though, I have one more card up my sleeve. Yes, today I'm reviewing the follow-up to Kingdom Hearts. No, I don't mean Kingdom Hearts 2, I mean Chain of Memories, specifically Re-Chain of Memories, the PS4 remaster of the PS2 remake of Chain of Memories.
I don't understand what's going on.
Confused? Let me break it down a little. You see, this game was initially released for the Game Boy Advance back in 2004.
Let's go!
As such, you may think this is a spin-off title, but oh, how wrong you'd be. I imagine many players were deeply confused by some of the early cutscenes in Kingdom Hearts 2. The opening cinematics seem to depict flashbacks of events from the first game, but then... What? Who's this pink-haired guy? I don't remember this. The truth is, there's a lot of important stuff that happens prior to this game, and it all takes place here. Personally, I think it was an odd choice to continue the main story in a Game Boy game, but it was later remade under the title Re-Chain of Memories for PS2, and released in 2007. Unfortunately, many parts of the world missed out on this, as it was limited to certain regions. But it was later remastered as part of the HD 1.5 Remix collection for PS3, which is what I'll be talking about today. Well, the PS4 version anyway. And if you're still confused, rewind the video. In the words of the lizard,
I'm not telling you again.
As was the case with the first game, you can choose to play on beginner mode, standard mode, or proud mode. As a newcomer, I opted for standard mode. And boy howdy, am I glad I did. I'm, not great at card games. The game opens exactly where the first game left off, with Sora, Donald and Goofy chasing down Pluto. When one night, Sora is approached by a hooded figure with an ominous message.
Along the road ahead lies something you need. However, in order to claim it, you must lose something that is dear to you.
Eventually, the trio encounters Castle Oblivion, the interior of which is so blindingly white, it gives Willy Wonka's TV room a run for its money. Ah! I'm blind! Donald and Goofy are convinced King Mickey is here.
I was kinda thinking the same thing.
Seriously? Me too.
Whoa, I was not expecting Barry White.
Too much of anything is not good for you, baby.
Okay, that's an exaggeration, but come on, we've been following Pluto for so long, Sora's hit puberty. By golly, it is so freaky hearing Sora speak like a man while looking like a boy.
Are you scared?
Still, it's not the most impressive growth spurt we've encountered. Remember when I hatched that dinosaur egg? Within half an hour, my baby became a 40-year-old man dinosaur.
That's good.
Oh, my baby's growing up. As the hooded figure accosts us again, the trio realise that they've forgotten all of their previous abilities.
In this place, to find is to lose, and to lose is to find. That is the way in Castle Oblivion.
The figure then samples Sora's memories, and from them he forms a world card. Using this, we can access Traverse Town. Although it's not actually Traverse Town. It might resemble the same location we visited in the first game, but it's merely a memory, an illusion. Before I discuss the combat and story, I want to talk about map cards. You see, in order to explore a world, you need to venture through many doors. To open them, you need to use map cards of certain values. You are rewarded map cards for completing battles. Here, for example, you need a card valued at 1 or higher to enter. 0 cards are an exception to this rule though, as 0 cards can open any doors requiring a certain value, provided there are no additional requirements. What you'll also notice is that there are different coloured decks. For standard rooms, only the value of the card is important, but sometimes you'll need specific coloured cards to enter certain rooms. The colours also bear meaning. For instance, the blue cards represent rooms that will benefit you in some way. Using the Moment's Reprieve card will open a safe room with a save point, while some other blue cards permit access to treasures, often rewarding you with new cards or moves. The red cards open rooms containing Heartless, and the rooms will range in difficulty depending on the conditions of the card. Some are lenient with very few or immobile Heartless, while others are more challenging, with tougher, more prolific enemies. One of the cards even turns the room pitch black, meaning you have to navigate and fight in total darkness.
Hey, I'm used to bad lighting. I've played Acme Arsenal. This should be a cinch.
Sometimes you'll also find roulette rooms, where you may get the chance to select a specific map card from a wheel. The green cards are status cards, essentially giving Sora an advantage in a room. For example, the Heartless may move slowly, or the power of your attack or magic cards may be increased. Finally, we have the gold cards. These are key cards and can be used to open doors emblazoned with crown icons. In each world, you'll first encounter a Key of Beginnings card, which leads to a room in which part of the story unfolds. Later, you'll also find the Key of Guidance, which is used to open another locked door that shows more of the story, and there's also another key card you obtain afterwards, referred to as the Key to Truth. And this opens the final boss of the world.
This isn't happening!
To open these doors, you often not only need the key card itself, but also any other cards that total the value that the door requires. The narrative of this world basically sees Sora meet the Final Fantasy characters. Since this is a mere replica, they obviously have no memory of Sora, but Yuffie cottons on that there's more to the situation than meets the eye, prompting them to teach us a little about the combat. I'll be honest, it took me a while to get to grips with it, so forgive some very shitty combat footage towards the beginning here.
With how awkward this feels to begin with, it really feels like the cards are stacked against us.
Performing an attack uses a card. In order to break your opponent's defenses and land a hit, your card needs to be a higher value than your opponent's. Once again, the exception to this is the 0 card. If an enemy presents a high value, a 0 will break their cards and cancel their move. So yeah, a 0 card may not look good initially, but it can easily turn the tables on an enemy.
0 to hero, just like that.
There are standard attack cards, magic cards, and item cards, containing useful items such as potions and elixirs. If you run out, holding the X button reloads them. But every time your deck is cleared, they take longer to reload. By the way, in this game you don't collect money. Instead, you collect Moogle points. Sometimes you'll also find a blue map card that will open a Moogle room, in which you can exchange Moogle points for new card decks, and you can choose between a deck of attack cards, magic cards, and item cards, or a mixture of the three. As expected, the Key to Truth in Traverse Town leads us to a boss fight with guard armor. Something I noted is that the Heartless all have the same colour scheme as in the original Kingdom Hearts, rather than the Final Mix remaster, which just makes it all the more irksome that they changed the colour scheme at all, since playing the remasters chronologically doesn't feel cohesive. After beating the boss, you'll find the Conqueror's Respite, which is an area you can save in before returning to the castle interior.
Hello.
Hello.
It's here we're finally introduced to Axel.
My name's Axel. Got it memorized?
This guy is a card. Ha! See what I did there? And this fight sees him go pretty easy on you. Over the course of the game, Sora meets members of the organization, who will fight him and then give him a stack of world cards. For example, after beating Axel, he grants him the Agrabah, Olympus Coliseum, Wonderland, Monstro, and Halloween Town world cards. And then after beating all these worlds, you're faced with Larxene.
I'm a bad guy, so you have to go through me.
Who then gives you the cards for Atlantica, Neverland, Hollow Bastion, and the 100-Acre Wood. All of these worlds are condensed versions of the worlds you visit in Kingdom Hearts 1, created using Sora's memories.
Back off!
And as such, I won't go into great detail about them. They mostly adopt the same story beats. Obviously the gameplay is very different, but it otherwise feels like you're going through the motions, visiting the same places and fighting the same bosses.
Back off!
It's also very obvious that stock vocals are used for the Disney characters, as most of the dialogue is conveyed through on-screen text. Poop. Once you have a selection of world cards to choose from, you can access them one by one in any order. Although this is strange to me, as some worlds are markedly tougher than others. Wonderland is the easiest Disney world in Kingdom Hearts 1, but if you choose to play it first in this game, you're likely to struggle. The only KH1 world that's absent is Deep Jungle, sadly due to the license to Tarzan expiring.
Thunder!
Although enemies from that world do appear in the Olympus Coliseum, so it's not totally forgotten. Sometimes the key to guidance leads to a preliminary boss. For example, in Olympus Coliseum, you need to face Cloud here, while the key to truth leads to Hades.
Back off!
But aside from the odd surprise battle, much of the game feels very by the numbers in terms of progression. The only exception to this that I can think of is Monstro. The key of guidance leads to the boss fight, while the key to truth leads to a room that feels more like a minigame. Here you need to make Monstro cough you up by attacking Heartless until you fill this gauge.
You might say this quite literally shakes things up, and it's about time too.
While we're on the subject of Monstro, I find it interesting that you encounter enemies here that are not present in the first game. But you can see them in that game's concept art, so it's pretty cool they thought to utilise them. As awkward as the combat may initially seem, it gets quite addictive. Speaking of the combat, we see the return of the barrel spiders. And you know what that means.
Hey, we counted it before, it's only fair.
Yeah, fire!
During battles, you'll also be able to use friend cards. For most of the game, this means you can call Donald or Goofy to help out.
Donald!
Often you'll also be able to call upon a friend who's native to a particular world,
Aladdin!
such as Aladdin in Agrabah or Beast in Hollow Bastion.
Beast!
There are also a number of characters you can call upon by using summon cards,
Power!
such as the Genie and Bambi. To increase the value of a move, you can combine 3 moves together to perform sleights. You can do this by scrolling through the deck during a fight and pressing the triangle button.
Back off!
The downside to this is that the first card in a sleight won't reload after use, but these are often a surefire way to land a hit.
This is it!
There are many combinations of cards that will result in different moves being performed. Personally, I think it's best to prepare your sleights beforehand, as I find it very difficult to remember what each sleight does. You have to remember very specific things, such as the total value of the cards you've selected, and I often found myself just spamming sleights regardless of what move they conjured.
Thunder!
Put simply, it's a lot to have to remember.
Got it memorized?
No, Axel, for the last time I haven't got it memorized. What am I, a machine?
You can only hold so much in your deck. The higher the card values, the more space they'll take up. But increasing your EXP helps you level up, giving you the opportunity to occasionally increase your health or your card power, meaning you can carry more. Every so often, you'll also be given the opportunity to learn new sleights. A big problem I have is that the difficulty is wildly inconsistent. Some of the bosses require some specific moves, but many of the standard enemies are too damn easy by comparison, so there's no real necessity to explore your arsenal outside of the boss fights. Sometimes you not only need to watch your card values, but obviously what attacks you use can have a major impact. For example, I personally found fighting Hades much easier when I logically used the Blizzard Raid sleight.
This is it!
Keeping your eye on the deck while moving in real time has its issues though. Monstro's boss is one of the most irritating.
This is it!
Due to the rotating platforms, it's very difficult to stay out of the stomach acid. I hate the design of this fight. It feels so clumsy.
You might say the gameplay is hard to digest. Unlike Sora, eh? I'll stop now.
Now and again, a gimmick card will appear. This is a 0 card that appears during some boss fights. It cannot be broken by any other card and always makes something happen in your favour. In this case, it makes the acid temporarily wash away. I'm uncertain as to precisely what triggers this card. It often seems to appear at random. If you're low on cards, sometimes the Pluto card will appear, allowing you to summon Pluto to unearth some helpful items, such as more cards or health balls. The 100 Acre Wood is thankfully a departure from the usual formulaic structure. Pooh has lost his friends, and as you might expect, this world consists of mini-games, some of which are more interesting than the ones in the first game. One of the most memorable sees you having to sort Rabbit's vegetables, hitting the cabbages to the left and pumpkins to the right. The rolling vegetables gradually speed up, but this is mostly very easy. That is until Pooh randomly decides to do this.
What? What is he doing?
Pooh will inexplicably wander in front of the vegetables, and you need to hit them out of the way before he gets hurt. What was he hoping to achieve here?
He's as much use as Smee was in the Petal Pan game. I still don't know what the hell he was doing.
What are you doing, you blithering idiot?
Another minigame requires you to use balloons to float up the tree and collect things. I don't think they actually specify what they are. Hitting branches or bees causes a balloon to burst. And if all of them burst, you need to start over. I found this a little frustrating, as I sometimes had difficulty perceiving how close I was to a branch.
Is this the way I want to go?
But overall, this was fine. I can't say it was especially fun, but it was bearable. Also, side note, this tree seems ridiculously tall. Even when you reach the end, you never actually see the top of it.
How tall is this thing?
After we find Owl, Sora suggests they could use balloons to float high and find Pooh's friends. But Owl is quick to burst his balloon, so to speak, claiming they would have no way of getting down.
Which makes no sense, because we clearly just did. Really, how did we get down?
Instead, Owl suggests continuing our search on foot. Or maybe Owl could just fly up there and tell us if he sees anyone. Did nobody think of this?
Honestly, for an owl, he's really not very wise. Or maybe he just doesn't give a hoot, who knows?
Before too long, we find the muddy path, and I genuinely couldn't read the line, "That's an awfully blustery hole," without snorting with laughter.
Yes, I know I'm immature, but come on, what kind of line is that?
Using the, blustery hole, we need to collect as many prizes as we can on the way down. This again makes me question why we couldn't just use the balloon to find our friends as Sora suggested, considering we are literally free-falling here. We eventually find Eeyore, who as usual has lost his tail, but Pooh genuinely doesn't give a poo. He randomly walks away mid-conversation as he decides Eeyore's predicament isn't worth his time.
Who cares?
And this leads to what I consider to be the worst minigame, Bumble Rumble, in which you need to protect Pooh and his honey from the bees using your cards.
Help someone.
If the bees buzz around Pooh for too long, the honey gauge depletes. Wind cards blow the bees away, while the honey cards make a honey pot fall on Pooh's head, refilling the honey gauge. I'm not sure if it's just me, but I found this one a little hard to follow, and just generally pretty frustrating. As the minigame ends, Pooh runs into a tree, causing Eeyore's tail to fall to the ground. I don't know how it got there, but I don't really care. I'm fairly certain Pooh doesn't care either. Overall, I found the minigames more engaging than those in the first game, although they can be a little infuriating.
And that last one in particular really stings.
Help someone.
As they venture deeper into the castle, the trio begin to notice that their memories are fading.
Sorry, I can't remember.
Even Jiminy's journal winds up getting erased.
Oh, my entries! They're gone.
It really takes them a while to figure out what's happening though. Even though it's obvious from the outset, it's a long while before the penny finally drops.
Could it be that we don't remember because we're losing our memories?
Sora, buddy, in your own words.
You're stupid!
The hooded figure already told us that the worlds in Castle Oblivion are illusory, but Sora doesn't seem to grasp the concept. It's genuinely frustrating to watch.
What's going on?
Castle Oblivion? Castle Oblivious, more like. Am I right?
I'm gonna figure it out for myself.
Throughout the game, Sora, Donald, and Goofy have their memories tampered with by the organization, a group of hooded figures who are nobodies. You see, when someone's heart is consumed by darkness, giving birth to a Heartless, the remaining husk or shell is referred to as a nobody.
We nobodies can never hope to be somebodies.
This isn't actually all that confusing. What I think confounds a lot of players when they're trying to get to grips with the lore is the terminology.
I don't get it.
Heartless have hearts, while nobodies are bodies without hearts. I'd go into more detail, but I really don't have the heart myself.
The main bad guy of the game is Marluxia, who wants to brainwash Sora and use him as his puppet to overthrow the organization.
Keep it under your hood. At least until the time is right.
Larxene is also in on this, while Axel is merely pretending he is, acting as a double agent to bring the traitors down.
You would have been wise to have done the same, Larxene.
After clearing the first floor of the castle, Sora finally remembers the lucky charm Kairi gave him in a secret waterway.
I promised that I would return it.
However, Sora also has a vision of another girl.
Do I know? That girl?
Over the course of the game, Sora starts gradually remembering details of his past that are clearly untrue. The good luck charm, for example, is replaced with a different one.
Is that thing mine?
And Sora's memory of Kairi is replaced with the name Naminé.
Me and Riku and Naminé.
Larxene convinces him that the girl from his memories is indeed Naminé, and lets on that she's being held captive at the castle.
You're getting on my nerves!
Larxene is actually pretty terrifying. She conveys herself as calculating but viciously unhinged, with a wicked evil laugh to boot.
I've still heard better.
Surprisingly, she and Axel are two of my favourite characters in the game, Axel especially. He's not only a strong character and powerful bad guy, but also ensures he finds the time to maintain his absolutely ridiculous hairstyle.
Where did you ever get that awful hairdo?
Over the course of the game, we cross paths with Riku several times.
What are you doing here?
But as it turns out, this is actually not Riku, but the result of an experiment by mad scientist and fellow organization member Vexen.
Experiments are what I do. Yes.
To reiterate, this dude is not Riku. He's a replica of Riku.
We shall henceforth refer to him as Repliku.
Marluxia denounces Vexen's Repliku as a failure and threatens him with termination.
Defying me will be seen as treason against the organization.
It then becomes obvious that Marluxia is using Naminé, Kairi's nobody, to lure Sora. You see, Naminé has the power to manipulate Sora's memories and create false ones. She isn't the bad guy, she's been manipulated by Marluxia herself.
All you need do is layer Sora's memories and bring his heart closer to you.
A short while later, Sora encounters Vexen.
It's from the mad doctor!
Who is pretty tough. By this point though, I'd realised that there are some sleights that can be used to cheese fights.
It's over.
Blitz, Sonic Blade, and Fire Raid are particularly effective here. Once this is over, Vexen reveals he had a surprise ulterior motive.
A card crafted from all the memories that are locked in the other side of your heart.
I say surprise, although this has already happened twice before with Axel and Larxene, so you'd think Sora would have seen this coming. What is a surprise though is the content of this card.
Memories? In the other side?
This card leads us to a replica of a place called Twilight Town. This is actually really clever story-wise, but I can't really be bothered to explain it.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Not even a nobody. Oh, okay, well, if you're still 2 decades behind and don't want spoilers, skip to this part of the review.
You might recall that Sora became a Heartless in the first Kingdom Hearts game. Logically, unbeknownst to Sora, this also means he would have a nobody, which winds up being in the form of Roxas.
Another dream about him.
Twilight Town is basically where Roxas spawns, and we don't get to explore it until Kingdom Hearts 2. So in layman's terms, Twilight Town is a memory of Sora's experienced vicariously through his nobody, Roxas. It sounds complicated, but it's actually really clever. Anyway, just outside the mansion gate, we once again encounter Vexen.
I'm gonna take you down and save Riku and Naminé.
And I personally think this fight is a tough one. Vexen often seems to use very high value cards, and his large shield means he deflects a lot of your attacks. Luckily, it was around this point I discovered a sleight called Lethal Frame, which is,
well, lethal, I guess.
By using the stop card and 2 attack cards, Sora freezes time and inflicts a powerful move that gives his opponent little room to maneuver. Once the fight is over, Vexen almost reveals Marluxia's plan.
Marluxia? What does Naminé have to do with...
When Axel steps in and terminates him at the snap of his fingers.
And I mean that literally.
I don't want it!
Goodbye.
I'm not sure if this was intentionally humorous, but it got a chuckle out of me.
What are you? What are you people?
By murdering Vexen as he was instructed, Marluxia and Larxene decide they can trust Axel, and let him in on their plan to usurp the organization, little realizing that Axel has an ulterior motive.
Man, there is so much infighting going on. For an organization, it doesn't sound particularly organized.
One more thing I want to mention regarding the combats is enemy cards. These all have temporary effects when used, and many of the more impactful ones are dropped by bosses following their defeat. I won't be discussing every single one, but just to give you an idea, some enemy cards increase the values of attack cards, some extend your combos, and some increase the effectiveness of certain elemental abilities. These cards belong in a separate deck to the usual attack cards, although equipping them nonetheless uses up your card power. Once equipped, you can access these by pressing the touchpad on PS4 or the select button on PS2.
Back off!
We then have yet another battle with the Repliku, who strangely reveals he has an identical Lucky Charm from Naminé.
Yeah, you're the fake.
After his defeat, it transforms into the world card for Destiny Islands. Meanwhile, while Marluxia isn't around, Axel lets Naminé out to look for Sora. At this point, Donald and Goofy reveal their concern that Sora's memories of Naminé have seemingly appeared out of nowhere.
You want me to abandon her?
No, that's not it.
I'm going to find Naminé.
Sora loses patience with them and the trio separates. As a result, your friends' cards disappear for the next portion of the game.
Back off!
Now, this is actually really interesting to me, as this marks the first time since Deep Jungle in KH1 that there's been any dispute between the three friends. And I've got to say, the piano version of the original Destiny Islands theme really helps convey a sense of nostalgia. Yes, I know this world is just a thinly veiled rehash of a place we've already been to, but the ambience is effective. While here, we cross paths with Naminé, who admits to having lured Sora to the castle.
I don't really exist inside your heart. I don't exist in anyone's heart.
Sora's still convinced she's his friend, but after this encounter, the lucky charm is restored, and the memory of Naminé is replaced with Kairi.
That jerk, Axel. He used Naminé to betray us.
Later, Larxene appears and confirms that all memories of Naminé were forgeries.
You're going down alone!
What if we could stop you?
At this moment, Donald and Goofy catch up to Sora and vow to protect him. I find a lot of the boss fights to be very trial and error, and this one is no exception. Larxene is not only immune to thunder damage, it actually helps her recover.
Back off!
As a side note, I often find Donald's interventions to be a bit of a gamble. When you use his card, you never know what spell he'll cast. In this case, he used a thunder spell, which was extremely unhelpful.
Whose side are you on, fella?
Eventually, we defeat Larxene, who basically fades away. It's a cool exit, although I do kinda wish her final words were a little less cringe-inducing.
I refuse to lose. There's such a bunch of losers.
What is this, high school?
I won't allow.
Shortly after this, Naminé explains that Marluxia is holding her captive in the castle, and forced her to replace Sora's memories bit by bit.
I can fix everything if we go to the 13th floor.
Thus begins the final stretch as we climb towards the 13th floor. After Axel is exposed as a double agent, we have to face him.
I'd really rather not fight you. But I can't dishonor the organization, now can I?
This fight is much tougher than Axel's initial fight, and once again, zero card moves are essential.
So this is it.
That made my axles tingle.
Marluxia commands Naminé to fully erase Sora's memories so he can rebuild him as his puppet, but Naminé outright refuses.
I won't hurt Sora. I won't do it!
This final fight is in 3 parts of varying difficulty.
Fire!
Personally, I find the second part of the fight to be much easier than the rest. I love that whenever you break Marluxia's cards, he sounds genuinely surprised.
What?
The irony being that, if he hadn't taught you about the game's combat in the first place, he would easily win, the idiot.
It's lucky for us that the villains are a few cards short of a full deck.
In the last part of the fight, he can cast Whirlwind to the Void, meaning if you're hit, your cards are scattered.
Scatter to oblivion!
If he casts Doom, you need to essentially duel with him, beating his cards one by one to break free. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but by the end of the fight, it was Donald who came to my rescue. Looks like he finally learned not to revive the opponent.
Not such a lame duck after all.
Following Marluxia's defeat, Naminé promises to undo the chain of false memories and reconstruct our real ones. But of course, this means
You won't be able to remember anything about what happened here.
this is obviously kinda bittersweet, as it means Naminé remains by herself, and Sora won't have any recollection of her. But luckily, Jiminy has an idea.
I'll just make a big note in my journal, and it will say, thank Naminé.
Yeah, that'll work. If anything, when the friends recover this note in Kingdom Hearts 2, it just raises more questions. Anyway, Sora's memories will remain intact, but the chains will be severed. As such, he promises he'll somehow once again find Naminé after he wakes up, and he's finally put to sleep in the pod so his chain of memories can be restored. In terms of Sora's story, everything is resolved and perfectly bridges the gap between KH1 and KH2.
Till then, I'll be in your heart.
Wait a second, we never actually did catch up to Pluto and find out what the king's letter said.
Hey, yeah!
Considering that this game is all about losing memory, it's kind of ironic that that's forgotten about.
But the game isn't over yet, far from it in fact. After Sora's campaign is completed, you unlock Riku's campaign, which is titled Reverse Rebirth.
Stay asleep.
Who's there?
The events of this part of the game occur in conjunction with Sora's campaign. Yes, as it turns out, Riku is also present at the castle at the same time.
You did not have the strength to overcome the darkness.
At first, it's actually pretty cool getting to play as Riku. His gameplay is a little different to Sora's, as you have a set deck of cards in each world, rather than having your own decks to organise as you see fit. For the most part, this makes it a little easier, although there are some worlds in which you're very literally dealt a bad hand. By this point, I'd gotten to grips with amending my decks, and I kinda missed it, but it initially feels refreshing to have some new gameplay to grow accustomed to.
You need darkness. Surrender.
Ansem tries to convince Riku to bow to the darkness, but luckily King Mickey steps in.
Remember, Riku, you're not alone.
Throughout Riku's campaign, we see some more members of the organization, brooding and just generally looking rather miserable. Considering the exact same background music is playing whenever we see them, it's no surprise they're a little fed up.
Jesus f***ing Christ, will you change the music? Please? This theme has been following us around for hours!
Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows.
That's more like it.
Here we're introduced to Zexion and Lexius, when Vexen arrives. A lot of X's.
The organization used to be the rope that bound us together.
You're only number 6. How dare you?
I am not a number. I am a person.
For a group of nobodies with apparently no emotions, they're incredibly petty. Lexius wins the prize for the poutiest face.
Zexion, tell us. What did you detect?
One thing I find weird about this game is that often, whenever the characters imply they sense someone lurking, they can smell them.
I picked up 2 cents.
A penny!
This is particularly evident with Riku, who regularly seems to smell things throughout the game.
Something smells funny.
And this is first evident when he smells the darkness.
It's the smell of darkness.
Although I think I would attribute that to the organization and their BO problem.
Darkness is my enemy, and so are you for reeking of that awful smell!
Burn, I guess?
Ugh. Seems those cloaks are in need of a good wash. Is there a laundromat in this place?
Vexen informs Zexion and Lexius that Marluxia has his heart set on Sora, or he would if he had a heart, so the others decide to go after Riku.
The hero of darkness.
Upset that the self-serving Marluxia wants Sora and the Keyblade for himself, these guys initially intend to take Riku under their wing to target the traitors, but this plan eventually devolves into simply wanting to kill Riku.
He is nothing but a nuisance now.
Personally, I found it got a little confusing trying to follow everyone's motivations. All you really need to know is, we're the good guys and these are the bad guys, in case it wasn't obvious enough already.
Your Majesty!
Meanwhile, Riku has a vision of Mickey Mouse. Yeah.
Lord have mercy, what has this guy been sniffing? Oh yeah, everything apparently.
I know it's not meant to be funny, but it really amuses me when Mickey Mouse just slowly manifests and then just doesn't say anything. He just stands there with an inane grin.
Like, hello? Did you want something?
I can see right through you.
Funny, huh? I can only send a bit of my power to this place.
Mickey encourages Riku not to succumb to the darkness, and states that they now have a connection after shaking hands in their hearts.
No, really, that's what he says.
We shook hands in our hearts, remember?
You may notice that Mickey's voice sounds a little pitchy at times, and the reason for this is actually really sad. His long-term voice actor Wayne Allwine was ill while recording this, and he passed away not long afterwards.
Your Majesty! Come on!
As such, this game is fairly significant because, unless you count the final mixed release of Kingdom Hearts 2, this is the very last PlayStation game appearance of Allwine as Mickey Mouse.
You're with me, aren't you?
It's kinda neat that one of the first games I covered on this channel back in 2017 marks his PlayStation debut.
You look awfully familiar. Ooh.
It's been a wild adventure indeed.
During battle, Riku can use something called Dark Mode.
Darkness!
By breaking opponents' cards, you increase your Dark Aura, and once the gauge is filled, your attacks temporarily become more powerful, and you have access to more sleights. You can also use your friend card to summon King Mickey himself, which is cool.
Your Majesty!
Come on!
When in doubt, get your Mickey out.
Sadly though, the novelty of controlling Riku wears off very rapidly. I'm not kidding here. Riku's campaign is the laziest aspect of any Kingdom Hearts game I've reviewed thus far. Granted, this is only the second game, but my point remains valid. Riku visits the exact same replica worlds as Sora, and even fights the same bosses.
Time's up.
If Sora's campaign can be considered a rehash, this is a rehash of the rehash.
Vanished.
While the first half of the game at least feels like it serves a purpose, this half ironically feels like a Mickey Mouse operation.
What's more, Riku's visiting these worlds makes no sense, as he never visited most of them in the first place. Over the course of the game, Riku comes into contact with the organization members. After their fight, Vexen retrieves the data to make the repliku. The bad guys plan to remake the repliku's heart, with Naminé fabricating his memories, including the forged Lucky Charm, so that he'll fully believe he's the real Riku.
No!
Simple to understand, right?
Wait, no it's not. It's needlessly complicated.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic that the opening song to the franchise is called Simple and Clean, when this convoluted plot is anything but.
I want an explanation.
The organization members in Riku's story are nowhere near as interesting to me. They're far more two-dimensional, and I really don't care for them.
Open your heart. Embrace the darkness.
Lexius is especially egregious, as his earthquake-inducing weapon is the most interesting thing about him.
Just give up.
It's clearly capable of boring the ground, while he himself ironically has a tendency to bore the living shit out of everyone around him with his total lack of personality.
I, Lexius, will not yield to the frail heart of an infantile coward.
Really, I don't actually know anything about this guy. Aside from this one boss fight, he may as well not be here. Otherwise, as was the case with Sora's arc, the main plot is still fairly interesting, although the narrative feels hollower. Since most of the gameplay revolves around the Disney worlds again, it just feels like a boring repetitious slog to get through.
This deck is in dire need of a reshuffle.
Things take a turn for the marginally more exciting as the organization managed to obtain the data for Sora and Riku's home.
This card. This is our...
Thus creating a replica of Destiny Islands. It would be even more exciting if we hadn't done exactly the same in Sora's shoes, Sora's ridiculously oversized shoes, but in this case the game shakes things up a bit as we eventually encounter Sora.
Stop it, Sora! Don't you recognize me?
Who traps Riku in a realm of light. Riku has a vision of Kairi and Naminé, who advise him to follow the darkness. He breaks free from Sora's trap and discovers it's not Sora but Zexion, who has a bizarre obsession with books for some reason. So much so that I kinda wish it were called Lexion.
You know, like a lexicon. I don't know, I thought it was clever.
Anyway, I get the impression this guy is well read, although he'd probably be better at this pastime if he brushed the hair from his face.
Get a haircut!
This guy is most definitely the most irritating of the organization, at least in my opinion. He repeatedly steals your cards with dark energy that you need to destroy. It's a powerful move alright, but I wish they'd have called it something better than Cyclone Snatch. Again, I know I'm being immature here, but it sounds like, well, you know what it sounds like.
Vagina!
I actually think it would have been more interesting to face Sora in some form. I mean, we fought Repliku many times, so why not? I'll admit that by this point, I'd stopped caring about even trying to perform to the best of my ability. I just wanted this bookish emo to die, and quickly.
Luckily, it's not long before Riku throws the book at him.
As Riku has more brushes with the darkness, Ansem grows stronger.
You have led in the darkness, Riku.
And after defending Riku from Ansem several times, King Mickey finally manifests before him.
Must you interfere again?
Once again, the stagnant pauses are unintentionally hilarious to me.
That ought to keep Ansem busy for a while.
Huh?
Again, can I help you?
It's also a little jarring when you have dark scenes like this, juxtaposed with scenes like this.
Whoa! That tickles!
I'm still invested, don't get me wrong. It just feels, I don't know, out of place?
It's like watching a gritty Vietnam War movie and Santa Claus showing up or something.
When we finally reach Twilight Town, we meet Diz.
I've watched you all along.
As it turns out, Diz was the one who was communicating with Riku at the beginning of his campaign, posing as Ansem to test Riku and make him face the darkness within.
You exist between light and dark. You stand in the twilight. You are to meet Namine, then choose.
So yeah, just to make things more confusing, not only is the other Riku not Riku, but this Sora wasn't Sora, and the Ansem we heard earlier wasn't Ansem. You still following, guys?
I don't understand what's going on.
Meanwhile, the organization continues to use the Repliku against us.
Your own darkness. It doesn't frighten you anymore. How can you tell? Because I'm you. No, I'm me. I'm me, he says.
You know what else stinks? This dialogue.
Now, fighting your own doppelganger isn't exactly a novel concept. There are many video games that see you come face to face with, yourself.
Hey, the imposter! The imposter!
But I still think I'd have found this more intriguing if I hadn't already fought Repliku several times already.
What have you done to Sora?
Nothing.
Shortly afterwards, Riku finds Namine, who reveals Sora's memories are being restored. She says she can put a lock on Riku's heart in order to keep Ansem at bay, but Riku refuses.
I'm ready. I'm gonna fight Ansem.
Before leaving her, Riku acknowledges that Namine and Kairi share the same aura.
I knew when I met you. You and Kairi smell the same.
I prefer my phrasing, but okay.
I can't be the only one who thinks this terminology is deeply unsettling. I get the impression it's a translation issue for the most part, but even his body language gives off major creep vibes.
Look, he even sniffs his fingers.
Before long, we once again encounter Diz, and I can't wait to finally find out who he really is.
Who are you?
I could be nobody. Or anybody.
Yeah, you know, that's really not very helpful.
Diz warns that the organization will pursue them, and gives both Riku and Mickey cloaks to disguise themselves. Lucky they had one in Mickey's size, I guess.
Maybe it shrunk in the wash. Assuming it has been washed. Just a precaution.
This final stretch of the game sees us once again traverse Castle Oblivion and eventually face Ansem.
I just can't stand your foul stench.
I get the impression you're supposed to rely on duels to defeat him, as these seem most effective in taking him down.
This one's mine!
Although I personally wound up repeatedly breaking his cards and spamming the Dark Break move. This is about as broken as Lethal Frame, honestly.
Someday, I will return!
Anyway, with Ansem beaten, Mickey once again comes to Riku's aid and requests to join him on his journey.
I'd like to walk the road with ya.
And I don't know why, but Mickey just comes across like he's flirting with Riku here.
Your Majesty, I'm really flattered. I don't know what to say.
Gosh, Riku, you know you don't have to call me that now. We're pals.
Hey, watch yourself, buddy. You're a married mouse.
Upon leaving the castle, Diz makes Riku choose between the path to the light or the path to darkness.
I'm taking the middle road.
But that wasn't an option. I think you may have failed the test.
Of course, this is symbolic of Riku's embracing both light and dark. If nothing else, at least this half of the game showcases character progression, and also explains how Mickey wound up in that ridiculous coat.
Do you mean the Twilight Road to Nightfall?
No. It's the road to dawn.
Who's Dawn? Please God, not another f***ing character.
And that's it. So what do I think of the game overall? Well, cards on the table, I'm conflicted.
Got it memorized?
This game is a real mixed bag. The card combat is awkward to begin with, but once you're accustomed to it, it can get very addictive.
Yes!
The difficulty isn't balanced, however. Most enemies are far too easy to beat compared to the later bosses. Some moves are also majorly overpowered in my opinion. This is obviously to your advantage, but I found myself relying on the same moves to beat some of the tougher fights, which gets a little tedious after a while.
Back off!
Furthermore, the gameplay is so detached from the other games in the series that it really should not be considered a mandatory entry.
Thanks to you, all our plans are ruined!
My theory is that this game was originally intended to simply be KH1 for the Game Boy. It's a very strange experience overall though, as it feels as though the developers were trying to justify its existence by shoehorning in plot details that are vital for understanding the series' overarching narrative.
Sora is the key. We need him if we're going to take over the organization.
As a result, it feels like some kind of weird hybrid, an entertaining but unnecessary card combat game inspired by KH1 and a direct sequel to KH1 at the same time. If your only reason for wanting to play this is to see what happens between KH1 and KH2, you're probably going to be somewhat taken aback by the diverse challenge this game represents. Darkness! Is it a terrible game? No, but it's an acquired taste, and while everything that takes place in the castle interior is vital to the narrative, pretty much everything else is not. It really is a mix of good and bad, necessary and unnecessary.
Overall, it's not perfect, but Sora's parts are mostly fun, while Riku's parts just plain stink.
Hey everyone! There was a hell of a lot to explain for this video, not helped by a surprisingly convoluted narrative. I guess I should have expected that. It is Kingdom Hearts after all. I did have to skip over a few things, mostly pertaining to Riku's story, as it really made the video drag. I hope I don't upset anyone by saying this, but Riku's gameplay is mostly filler. The game overall was an interesting one though. Certainly not as bad as some people make out, but it's really not for everyone. Anyway, as I said at the beginning, the channel will be going on hiatus for a little while. I'm starting a new job, so realistically the output won't be anywhere near as consistent as it has been for the past 2 years. I've been very lucky to be able to pursue this, and extremely grateful for all of your support. I very much admire anyone who can build something like this from the ground up and maintain it consistently. Unless you have a team of people behind you, or your content is relatively low effort from an editing perspective, it is tough as nails. All the same, I'm so glad I've been able to deliver the channel as I wanted it these past couple of years. I initially saw April 2024 onwards as a sort of revival era for the channel, and it's wound up being the best era by a wide margin, in terms of both productivity and response. So a big thank you as always. I do want to share some extra stuff with patrons and channel members if I get the chance to before I disappear again. This video alone has so many deleted scenes, it would actually be a shame not to share them at some point. Speaking of patrons, thanks to all of you once again. The World's Address, Dragon Dog, Alex C, Upside Clown, Anthony Gallagher, 3Spooky5Me, Volico72, and Matthew Shaw. Thanks also to my free patrons, Dinosaur Bites, Gabe Owners, Yusuf Samuel, Alex, Samantha Thorngate, Mike Santana, Heather McKnight, Jennifer Erzin, Jeremy Miller, Yukanai Yuko, Alma Elma, Kira Flameheart, D Snuts, Hannah Kingdon, Domino Shields, GamerKid96, and Mood Faik. And a super extra special thank you to my channel members, Jeremy Miller, Jenny Fox, Reunion, and 3Spooky5Me. As I say, I may disappear for a while, but I don't intend to end the channel by any means. I'll still be here, writing, recording, and editing when I get the chance. This isn't goodbye, it's just bye-bye for now.